investigation, what's also called a PUI. Basically right now, and the way it has been the last couple of months, when they locked us down, is that any patient that came in with a respiratory problem was labeled COVID.
Right now, there's a thing going on called the Truth About Vaccines. It's put on by my friends Ty and Charlene Bollinger. Do you know that if you go, Instagram just censored that term, that hashtag. Do you know that if you go into Google and type in Truth About Cancer, the Truth About Cancer, you can't find anything. They've got over 2 million followers, and you can't find anything in Google about Truth About Cancer. This is how much sense. We are in the United States. We are living in the free world, and yet this is the type of censorship that's going on. Why?
Wait. Sir, I'm going to interrupt you. That what you just said, I think is critically important. Can you repeat what you just said, please?
Well, last Friday, I received a 7-page document that sort of told me that if I have an 86-year-old patient that had pneumonia but was never tested for COVID-19, but sometime after she came down with pneumonia, we learned that she had been exposed to her son, who had no symptoms, but later on was identified with COVID-19, that it would be appropriate to diagnose on the death certificate COVID-19. Now, we've not done that. If someone has pneumonia and it's in the middle of a flu epidemic, and I don't have a test on influenza, I don't diagnose influenza on the death certificate.
Right.
I will say this elderly patient died of pneumonia.
One question. Why? Why are they censoring it? What is the purpose of censoring it? You don't censor pornography. You don't censor people with foul language. But now I'm just here talking. I think the only word that I've used that could be potentially considered loose would be crap. And if I didn't say it, I just said it. So that's the only word. But why would that message get censored? In fact, YouTube, when they took out those videos, it was funny because I could tell almost like I envisioned the guy sitting there thinking like, okay, how do I, what do I put under the category? Because we didn't show anybody else's stuff. It was all my stuff. And so they put down for inappropriate violation of YouTube, inappropriate content is what they put down. They didn't say copyright laws. They didn't inappropriate content. So tell me, what is inappropriate about the truth?
In treating these patients, I have witnessed medical phenomenon that just don't make sense in the context of treating a disease that is supposed to be a viral pneumonia. 9 days ago, I presumed I was opening an intensive care unit to treat patients with a virus causing a pneumonia that was ravaging lungs across the world, starting out as something mild, a cough, a sore throat, and progressively increasing in severity until ultimately ending in something called acute respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS. This is the paradigm that every hospital in the country is working under. This is the disease, ARDS, that every hospital is preparing to treat. And this is the disease, ARDS, for which in the next 2 to 6 weeks, 100,000 Americans might be put on a ventilator. And yet, everything I've seen in the last 9 days, all the things that just don't make sense, the patients I'm seeing in front of me, the lungs I'm trying to improve, have led me to believe that COVID-19 is not this disease.
Now, if the truth is inappropriate, if that's how they've got it defined, I can understand that. And that's going to be a matter of a court of law settling it, hopefully a global court, that can now start looking at these major corporations that have the ability to sway elections, to sway policy. And if they are going to have that much power, then they should be held accountable just like a government is.
And they're showing the numbers like a football game to scare you. They're showing you loading bodies into a tractor trailer to scare you. I've never in my career ever seen bodies loaded into a tractor trailer.
We'll pull that
just
picture.
Doesn't happen. I wonder if those were even bodies. I really don't believe it. All of this stuff is fake. Okay?
My heart is sinking right now as you're telling me this. You're a doctor. Why in the world would they be sending you out information to fill out death certificates, whether the person's been diagnosed with COVID-19 or not, but then to say in the death certificate this person's death was caused by COVID-19? That does not sound right to me.
We have both been in the ER through swine flu and through bird flu. Did we shut down for those? Were they much less dangerous than COVID? Is the flu less dangerous than COVID? Let's look at the death rates. No, it's not. They're similar in prevalence and in death rate. So we are saying that our response now that we know the facts, it's time to get back to work. It's time to test people. But again, testing gives you a moment in time. Testing tells you, the nasal swab says positive or negative. The blood vial, the tiger top on the finger stick gives you IgG, IgM. IgG being the long-term immunoglobulin you look at for immunity. But again, it's a moment in time.
Right.
And what's interesting to me too is when someone dies in this country right now, they're not talking about the high blood pressure, the diabetes, the stroke. Did they die from COVID?
We are operating under a medical paradigm that is untrue. In short, I believe we are treating the wrong disease, and I fear that this misguided treatment will lead to a tremendous amount of harm to a great number of people in a very short time. As New York City appears to be about 10 days ahead of the country, I feel compelled to get this information out. COVID-19 lung disease, as far as I can see, is not a pneumonia and should not be treated as one.
But I would actually expect a lot more healthcare workers to get sick and come up positive. And we've had some extreme contamination issues from patients that didn't show any symptoms, wasn't a patient under investigation, and then all of a sudden came up positive. And none of those healthcare workers came up positive, got sick, carried fever, or anything else. Just to show you real quick, here's my PPE that I have to wear. Sorry. Here's my PPE that I have to wear. There's an N95 mask in here, and a face shield, and of course I've got some gowns and stuff, but we're going, wearing this for 5 shifts minimum before we can get a new one, alright? So I'm contaminating myself. Every time I put this N95 mask and the shield in this bag, it's contaminated. It's contaminating over and over and over again, and then I'm putting the mask on. Okay, I'm still here, I'm not sick, and nobody else is either, except with the exception of 1 or 2.
Rather, it appears as if some kind of viral induced disease, most resembling high altitude sickness. It is as if tens of thousands of my fellow New Yorkers are on a plane at 30,000 feet and the cabin pressure is slowly being let out. These patients are slowly being starved of oxygen. I have seen patients dependent on oxygen take off their oxygen and quickly progress through a state of anxiety and emotional distress and eventually get blue in the face. And while they look like patients absolutely on the brink of death, they do not look like patients dying of pneumonia. I have never been a mountain climber, and I do not know the conditions at base camp below the highest peaks in the world. But I suspect that the patients I'm seeing in front of me look most like as if a person was dropped off on the top of Mount Everest without time to acclimate. I don't know the final answer of this disease, but I'm quite sure that a ventilator is not it. That is not to say that we don't need ventilators. We absolutely need them. They are the only way at this time that we're able to give a little more oxygen to patients who need it. But when we treat people with ARDS, we typically use ventilators to treat what's called respiratory failure. That is, we use the ventilator to do the work that the patient's muscles can no longer do because they're too tired to do it. These patients' muscles work fine. I fear that if we're using a false paradigm to treat a new disease, that the method that we program the ventilator, one based on a notion of respiratory failure as opposed to oxygen failure, that this method, and there are a great many number of methods we can use with the ventilator, but this method being widely adopted at this very moment in every hospital in the country, which aims to increase pressure on the lungs in order to open them up, is actually doing more harm than good. And that the pressure we are providing to lungs, we may be providing to lungs that cannot stand it, that cannot take it, and that the ARDS that we are seeing, that the whole world is seeing, may be nothing more than lung injury caused by the ventilator.
The lockdown?
Yes.
Would it be safe for people to be
Yes.
outside right now?
Yes. I'm outside with no mask.
Are the gloves and masks maybe a little bit too much right now? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, again, do you want your immune system built or do you want it not built? The building blocks of your immune system is virus and bacteria, end of story.
Right.
That's how you build it.
There's normal bacteria and normal flora. There's normal bacteria and normal flora that we have to be exposed to. Bacteria and viruses that are not virulent are our friends. They protect us against bad bacteria and bad viruses. So right now, if you look at Dr. Erickson's skin or my skin, we have strep, we have staph. All staph isn't bad, all strep isn't bad. They protect us against opportunistic infections. That's why when the baby comes out of the womb for the first 3 to 6 months, they're extremely vulnerable to opportunistic infection, which is why when we see a little baby in the ER with fever that's 1 month old, you do a spinal tap, you do a chest x-ray, you do blood cultures, you do urine cultures. But if you had a fever, I wouldn't do that for you. Why? Because that baby does not have the normal bacteria and flora from the community. Whereas you do, because you've interacted with, you've gone to the gas station, you've gone to Home Depot. That's the difference. Normal flora, if we all need normal flora, and Dr. Erickson is saying, is when you are self-isolating at home for 2 or 3 months, you lose that normal flora. So I guarantee when we reopen, there's going to be a huge amount of illness that's going to be rampant. Because our immune systems have weakened. And that's just basic immunology and virology.
Well, fear is a great way to control people, and I worry about that. I worry